why don't we go ahead and get started?
Sure.
And then we can, catch people up in stride as they come in. So, greetings everyone, and thank you for joining, and welcome to the next session of the IlliniCloud Webinar Series featuring CatchOn. My name is Jat Pannu, Business and Operations Lead for the IlliniCloud, and joining us today is Jena Draper, Chief Executive Officer for CatchOn. As a reminder, this is an interactive session, so please type any questions that you have into the chat window, and we'll either catch them in stride or take them at the end of the session, whatever kind of seems more appropriate. The IlliniCloud webinars are, again, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Time, and they're posted to the IlliniCloud YouTube channel. So if you've missed one or want to just catch up on some of the ones that took place, just go to IlliniCloud and go to YouTube and type in IlliniCloud, and you'll see the channel there. And just for planning purposes, the upcoming webinars can be found in the bottom of the announcement email. These are subject to change, so our next webinar will be a week from now on the 18th. With that, Jena, please feel free to introduce yourself, and I'll stop sharing the screen and let you start sharing what you have to show for us today.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I've been very excited to have this opportunity to talk with you, and Jat and I have been talking about this for a couple weeks on what did I want to share, and Leo, who's in our chat, has convinced me to show the demo. His district is part of our pilot that we've been having going on since September, and so yeah, you're going to get a sneak peek of what's going to be going on and what we're going to be presenting this year at South by Southwest. Is our first official debut, but what CatchOn does is we answer the 3 questions that every institution has about their technology. Is it being used? How is it being used, or what is being used? And is it effective? And I set out with this mission to improve how students learn with technology. And I approached this from a perspective of a semi-recent graduate. My first ed tech company, I started right fresh out of college with the same exact mission, but I realized quickly that I didn't approach it from the right perspective. I didn't come at it with the tools like CatchOn has that improve how districts can make decisions. I thought if we started at the classroom level, we could more effectively go about this mission. But in fact, what's been proven to be more successful through this venture and what we have begun is that I'm giving administrators tools to be able to effectively understand how their technologies are being used, what's being used, is what they're paying for being used, what's that return on investment, and really being able to identify those gaps so that these important technologies can be used and can have the potential to improve learning. So does anybody have any questions before I move forward? I certainly don't want an hour to just me ramble. Does anyone want to say anything?
Just real quick, Jena, are you sharing anything that we should be looking at, or?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay. Just wanted to check.
Yeah. Hang tight.
All right. Any questions before we get started? Any particular interests that people want to learn more about? I know CatchOn is somewhat of an enigma, so not sure what it is, but I guess let's keep going.
Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, Leah's part of our pilot. We started a pilot in September. I started this with 4 districts, specifically in Texas to start. And we started with a little under 100,000 students, which seemed kind of crazy to start off with because that's the biggest beta that's ever happened in ed tech. Will we continue to grow that? Now we are at over 20 districts, over 400,000 students. So we're approaching that 500,000 student mark. We've only been doing this since September. So it's been very humbling to see that this mission that I set out to accomplish is really resonating with districts and really giving them the data that they've really never had. It was actually so astounding that every time I talked to a district, even before I really began this and really decided that this was going to be a company, I was on the fence for a while. Remember, I had an ed tech company to start, and it didn't go as well as I would like it to. So I was a little gun shy. But I approached this with caution. I wanted to build this with districts, not for them. So I talked to everybody I could possibly get an email or a call back from, and the same results happened everywhere. Nobody knew exactly what was being used. And none of these vendors were providing this data to the districts. So that was really where I came at this from, was I wanted to provide districts the tools that they needed, this data that the vendors may or may not be wanting you to have, but to give you that leg up in that conversation, to give you the information and the analytics that you need to make effective decisions for your students. So without further ado, if there's no questions, I'll just go to a screen share. Bear with me, I'm new with this. Let's see. Okay. You're seeing a lot of my screen right now.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Okay. So this is the dashboard. I'm going to go through a little bit of the product. Please, someone be looking at the comments and see if anyone needs to stop me. But this is the data that has been just completely eye-opening for everyone. We started off by helping districts understand what are they buying and is it being used. So our districts put into our app management, we give them a console that I'll show you in a moment that basically just takes in how many licenses are you paying for and how many are being used. Are you buying 5,000 and 4,999 are used, or are you buying 5,000 licenses and 5 are used? Obviously a little different in both of those scenarios. So what you're seeing here is exactly that. Apps that are free have unlimited licenses. Apps that are paid have a total. But what's been extremely eye-opening is that when we looked at what districts were buying and what they knew to care about, what they knew that they should be looking at, caring about, looking at data for, what they didn't know to care about was absolutely the most eye-opening, and it has been the most interesting part of this whole experience. Not only that, but to watch the data change so rapidly. That's the one thing that if I could impress upon anyone looking at this is that when you're understanding the way your apps are used, there are trends, there are some consistencies across the information, but there's a lot of variability. So what our value is to you is we identify that variability for you. We help you know when that happens so that you can fill those gaps appropriately. So we're taking into account spend. We're counting in these licenses. We're analyzing what you're buying, what you're paying for these licenses, and are you getting out of it what you should be getting out of it from a financial perspective. So anyone stop me anytime. I can go slower, I can go faster, I can stop talking altogether. Just let me know what you'd like me to do. But I wanted to share this with you, and I thought that was important. And Leo, who's on the call as well, wanted me to make sure that you knew that. What's really interesting about us is that we can drill down categorically as well. So perhaps you're spending money on this app, Think Through Math. You probably are spending money on that, especially if you're in Texas. But look at these other things that are being used instead. And a lot of times, those are free tools. So let's go to this one. This is usually an interesting one for us. Classroom management. Well, this one, I guess there's no breakdown this time, but everyone likes to know, what am I paying for and what else is being used? Because that ties into that return on investment. That ties into, are they using what we're intending them to use, or are they not?
Hey, Jenna, question from the chat.
Of course.
How is the usage data being collected?
On Chromebooks, we collect it from a very simple Chrome extension. So it's 4 steps. It takes less than 5 minutes, or I should say less than 7 minutes. But it's very, very quick and easy. On every other device, we are collecting it through a network solution. And I can let Leo open the floor to that. Leo's district has been our pilot for that. We've been testing it for about 2 months with them. And the idea behind that was just everybody wanted us to get that iOS data. And that was our first stab at it, and we succeeded.
Great. So you have a Chrome plugin that basically, when you hit a URL, it captures that URL, and that session information is passed to your application. You're capturing that through the plugin, and you're storing that data, and then you're rendering it through these different visualizations.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, great. And then another question, not sure if I'm going to adequately define it, but network auditing logs. Bernie, can you clarify that question a little bit?
It's probably referring to the network solution, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So, Jenna, you want me to jump in on that one?
Yeah, please.
So the network solution is using a passive DNS. So what happens is you use a primary DNS. You make a localized server internally, a network server, to become your primary DNS. And then what it does is it passively collects that same data through a capture portal. So the student will log in once when they're logging into O365 or Google or any other type of application they have to log through. The capture portal will grab that on the way in, and then we'll use the same kind of mapping to do unique instances into an application. So what you're looking at, you see both hits and sessions. So, and that's an individualized session. So you're not double counting your sessions because you're able to look at the user. One of the things that we were initially worried about was student data privacy. And I'm sure that question would come. And so I'm going to address it right up front because it was a big deal in my district. And that user data gets hashed upon collection. So once the instance is recorded, then the student data name, everything gets destroyed, so that it doesn't have to be collected or doesn't need to be stored, and the student's ID is safe. In future versions, I know it's been discussed that we would look at being able to break out the ability to group the logins by campus. So some of our pilot districts have asked to say that, what if I want to know, we're getting lots of usage, but I want to know who's not using a certain, what areas aren't using a certain application, because maybe we're rolled out in Visions Math to all of our K-5 schools, and we don't know, we see four of our 15 elementary schools just aren't using it. And so maybe we need to target some professional development there, or have conversations with staff there about it. So that's going to be really exciting in one of the future revisions. So, but that's how the network piece works. And then what you do is you will configure that internal tool to pass it right to your current primary domain controller, so that you don't lose any of your domains you already have. This is just a pass-through DNS, and it just collects that on that one time. Now, if you have a one-to-one program, you can still make it a primary DNS even outside, if you give it an outside IP address. So.
Right. So if I can maybe focus the question a little more precisely, in a situation where districts may already have devices for things like network auditing, meaning that they're able to filter traffic inbound and outbound on their networks, that information cannot be used in this solution because of this expectation of having a dedicated server utilizing this custom implementation to measure network traffic for the targeted sites that it's going to resolve for.
You could pass it through onto that. So that filtering doesn't do it off of resolving off the domain. The filtering happens based on blacklist. So the ability to that filtering would still occur upstream.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, all right, good enough. Those are probably questions that can be fleshed out at a more appropriate time. It is interesting to see the usage information coming up for applications. That is an area that we've tried to provide some graphics on basic utilization of applications in the past. So it's definitely an interesting target. It looks like a good app.
Yeah, it's been very powerful for me, I have to say. And it's the pilot districts here in Massachusetts. We have about 10 of them, Jenna, 8 or 10. So they immediately saw the power of this. Particularly, we had the Chrome tool flushed out much quicker, and a couple of IT directors here, there's been a lot of shift in superintendencies and and a lot of questioning of budgets. And so being able to show usage in a very quick turnaround, in a very short turnaround time, has been very helpful to many of my peers here. So, and that's been some of the aha moments. And then those tags, the tagging has been great to start grouping those applications together. So, we use math often, ELA, but my district alone has, I'm going to say, no less than 12 different online tools for mathematics.
Right. Now, in a situation where we like to encourage our teachers to explore and to be able to find new resources on the web, but they don't necessarily always inform the upstream events.
Right.
So in this situation, is there a pre-registration of URLs that we're interested in, or would we notice URLs that were being new? Yeah,
Jena, do you want to show that?
Yes. So you're kind of getting a sneak peek, and let me just be clear that we are launching our version 1 next Wednesday. So that's people who are already on, you're looking at, the minimal viable product that has been, successful, but we've learned a lot, and we've learned that one of the big things that we missed on this first version was really understanding, we started with the districts telling us what they cared about and being able to capture, we were using a global whitelist. So basically any district that came on that introduced a new app and said, we care about this app, and it was brand new to the system, that was now universally available to anyone else who students or teachers use that app. And it would pop up in this little section, and you see that this scrolls on kind of endlessly. It got very easily and quickly unmanageable, that you don't want to scroll through hundreds and hundreds of apps. So you have the ability to delete them. You have the ability to see them as they're coming in and really request them.
Okay, but we can't associate those usages with individuals or groups of people?
Not in this version.
Okay,
No.
Because that seems like a real handicap in terms of being able to monitor particularly new product.
Well, so the discovery is, so one of the things that, like you said, is finding out who is doing it. And that's part of that's why in this version, that's not to say that we're not capable of doing it, but in this version, the next, Jena, you stop me when you want me to.
Mm-hmm.
The next version of that is really going to have that capability. So, but we wanted to have the V1 done for student data privacy purposes, because the next step is we do, some sort of one roster sync with the system that will start connecting those dots. So you'll know who's using what apps, but that would have to be elected by the district, right, to sign off on doing that, because that's when student data is being stored at a spot. Although secure, we would just be being very cautious about that. And so that's why as soon as we have that fleshed out, we are actually capable of doing it. So on the beta servers, we can actually do what you're asking. So.
Okay.
And what we're looking at.
One final question
Go ahead, Bernie.
Along that very same thread is the usage information that's being collected based upon the descriptions that you've given and the cautions that are in place. Is it the case that these usage details are actually being stored in the cloud then for storage, not necessarily being stored on the capture device that's going to be resident per client?
Correct. Nothing is being stored on the capture device, so there's no risk of that device walking out or containing anything that's of security value at all. So right. That's really just like a caching server to send information up to our services. On AWS.
That was your reference to hashing data and then propagating data, because
Correct.
The propagation's destination is somewhere in the public cloud.
Correct. Okay. So and that's how we're enabled to be A4L certified.
Okay.
Show that. Yep.
Enough. I just wanted to be clear. Sorry.
It's a great question.
No. These are great questions.
That's a great question because that is the question that people are asking about, and yes, it is capable. So, but Jena, Because all the pilot folks have been pushing on poor Jena, and so she had to draw a line in the sand.
Well, and we also wanted to balance, staging out the delivery of the product, because we could have started with every single bit of granularity, and then we have a bunch of features that no one uses. So I'm trying very hard to balance bringing innovation to the product at the same time, not overwhelming the user and letting the user tell me when they want something. So the more I hear this, the more that we're making adjustments towards that. And I can tell you that a lot of things that you're seeing are a combination of building that innovation in and those responses from our districts. We're very responsive to those.
Yeah, no, there's a question from Vanna, and to answer that question, Vanna, in that next version as well, you will have time of day. So because one of the big questions we initially had was which applications are getting used most outside of the school day?
Yeah,
right. Our one-to-one programs, what's the impact of the applications we're buying and giving them access to content? Are they really actually consuming that content outside the school day?
Yeah, and I was also, this is just fascinating to me because I'm seeing so many crossovers, and understandably, I think you've done a great job of just saying we have this opportunity as a pilot to focus on maybe these 3 or 4 things at the beginning, and privacy is kind of our top notch, and not jumping in all the way, and let's wait and see what the districts. And in my head, I'm looking and saying, there are so many ways if you can gather data for frequency of use, even, sometimes there are applications that you just need at certain times of the year, but you don't necessarily want to drop them from your network or from your investment portfolio, so to speak. But you do need to account for them in your budget year to year. Also thinking, for, special education populations, let's say, they may only come up for, there may only be 1 or 2 teachers, so the frequency may be very low when they are hit. Or time of day. And also when you mentioned the one-to-one, I immediately went to, this would be awesome to see, are they really using what you're investing in outside of the classroom?
Right.
So Jenna's been very kind, allowing me to have access to some of the stuff they're working on and get feedback, and she may cut me off right now, and without revealing much what's coming, I'd say that all those things you're asking about are not far behind, and I would guess that they're, if they released a pencil with the eraser on the top already, right, there would be no version 2 of the pencil.
Well, no, it's like the mechanical pencil, right? If they release the mechanical pencil right away, too, you have all these things. The one thing, Jena, can you go back? I was just curious, that circular picture that you had, the pie chart, I just wanted to see when you go over it with does anything happen when you hover over? So that does tell you. I was just curious as to what shows up. So Absolutely. How much is spent? Is that how much is spent?
Yes. Yeah. Does anyone else feel a little sick to their stomach that someone spent $500,000 on Skyward?
Yeah.
Oh.
By whatever do you mean?
Exactly.
This is actually real data. This is the school district we're working with who gave us permission. They are now called Google ISD. But this is real data. And that's why I thought that this was meaningful to see. This is what's happening at their district right now in this week. January 5th or January 11th.
See, I think that this is just remarkable, and if it could actually be divided by locale, by building within a district, that would be an awesome feature. And potentially roles like how many of these are student hits versus teacher hits, those would be really good aggregates to be able to see at this type of a summary level, particularly from a district perspective.
I can tell you that it's coming next Wednesday, and if you want to talk offline, I'm happy to show you sneak peeks of that. We could do that on Monday, or we could do that anytime next week, but I'm happy to show that to you.
Okay.
Leah was
We're all friends here, aren't we?
Yeah, and if anybody wants to see that, just please reach out to me, Jat, and I can get something set up for that.
Maybe we should have a CatchOn 2.0, another webinar.
Sure.
You can show us.
Sure, I'd love that.
As
Yeah.
opposed to, pinging you separately. Because some of this, as you have variations, I think curricularly from my standpoint, I'm curious, or maybe you do need separate ones because Bernie may not be interested. So I learned from him. I'm not sure.
Right.
Well, I have to tell you, building off of one of the questions about the time of day question, you'll be champing at the bit for another series.
Yeah, I may just want to come out and visit you.
Well, aren't you all going to FETC?
I am not. I don't think I'm scheduled to go. So no, but now I may just want to get in my car and drive.
That's a long drive.
20 hours. What's that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I'm absolutely happy to show you. And what you're seeing right here, I'll just give you kind of a verbal demo that basically what's going to happen is there's going to be an advanced button, and there's the ability to add in roster information, and then that will aggregate this. So you could be able to drop this down and say, I want to see X campus. And this would show you X campus. And this would show you X campus most used apps. And this would show you that financial impact at each campus.
And assuming you've thought about features like comparisons across,
Of course.
campuses. Oh, okay, super. Then no more need.
Can I show you something else? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the part everybody gets the most excited about, especially the gals, because it's pretty. We spent some time on this UI, and these are the app profiles. So when you look at the reports and you look at the dashboard's your high level. Your reports will always be more granular as you're learning that we're getting there, and we plan to get there even more granular. Step by step, we're getting there. But your app profiles will always be your granularity into the app themselves. So every app has this really nice little profile. We use artificial intelligence to pull some of this information from the web, including these tags. And you also have the ability to customize your own tags as well. So we want you to understand these apps the way you want to understand them. We want you to favorite them and follow them when they're brand new and you just bought Eduphoria or Nearpod or whatever that is. You just bought it, you want to track it more closely, you follow it, and it will pop up first on everything. Just like you see here, you will always have your favorites as that initial piece with a pretty little heart that you can go check out. But you see these ranks. This is what everyone has been most excited about, because these ranks tie to what you're searching, the criteria in which you're searching, the time period, the sorting, and the tags. So I could go here and see math. And for this week, based on users, when it wants to do it, well, I guess it's already did it. You'll see this is your first one. So this is my first most used for math. If I take out math, now look what's my most used. So these ranks are grabbing based on what you search, and we're helping you understand where these apps fall in the grand scheme of things in your district's ecosystem.
Okay, and the granularity of the timeline granularity, all time to a week or all time to a day?
Anything you want. We have a couple of recommendations here, and then you can, of course, do a custom range that goes all the way down to the day. I haven't found anybody who wants to make minute-by-minute decisions, but, we're open to it. But one thing I do want to show you that's coming, and we can do that on a separate call, is that these profiles will have that comparative element. So once
I see.
Down here.
so the time element in school day or out of school day would probably be the only consideration that would be potentially important in the time.
Yes, if you
which is a horizontal dimension versus days. Yeah, exactly.
And one thing that will be here, so you see this kind of simple. We started here. This was enough to get everybody excited and show them what they needed to see. But under here, when you mentioned that comparison, if the district is paying for the service or whatever that looks like when they're paying for that extra piece of campus granularity, there would be those nice pretty pie charts you saw, and you will actually be able to see that breakdown. So you would hope that that pie is evenly distributed, but you could very visually identify who's using, for example, in this one, Gmail, and which ones aren't using Gmail, so that you could have the information you need to go identify those holes and gaps and then put in the PD, the training, or just start the conversations you need to start to make sure that tool is properly used.
Okay, and based upon the way that you just presented that idea, your words suggested that the feature for location granularity would be an add-on feature or an pay extra for feature?
It's something that I'll let Jat come in on. It might be something that we offer IlliniCloud members complimentary.
No, but that's what your business model plan is.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, we're in the process of kind of designing the structure for the IlliniCloud CatchOn agreement. So
what the application scope actually is.
Yeah, so it'll be kind of a mixed bag of things. So Jena and I are still working those things out, but it's definitely going to be something that works well for the audience that we have.
Is there any other questions? Anyone want to see anything? Did I go too fast over anything? I'm just trying to keep myself from talking too much.
Yeah, I have a question, Jena. So if you are currently a purchaser of the plugin version and you wanted to transition to the network version, is there a data transformation or migration pathway, or kind of lose one and then all that data is gone and you have to start fresh? Or
I actually love that question because it gives me a good breakaway into something else. There is a data transition pathway. We can very easily take over that. As you see, everything is really classified out by the app. So we have a great ability through how we've built the infrastructure for the software that tracks historical data too. So remember how I mentioned that schools are finding new things that they didn't know existed. They care about certain things, but they're seeing all this new stuff. And we're helping them surface these new tools and make them aware of them. Well, what's really neat about that is, say they saw BrainPop. I'm just going to pick on BrainPop. I'm sure everyone knows BrainPop's used, but let's just use them for sake of familiarity. BrainPop is used. You see BrainPop's used, and you decide, I want to add that to my ecosystem. I really want to track that. I keep seeing it pop up. I really want to track that. I want that to be part of what my district is looking at. You would not only add that to that app management console that I showed you, but that would take every historical data point. So if you added BrainPop today, your data for BrainPop would not start today. It would start from the second any app usage originated from that tool. So the data follows you. It follows you from the point you start CatchOn. It starts from the point that an app is used, and we track all that historical reference information and tie it to that app for you. So it's always able to be accessed.
Okay, just a real quick point of clarity. So if an environment has a mixed set of platforms that include Chromebooks, MacBooks, and Windows machines, they would be utilizing both methods of collecting data at a given point in time. I presume that that's perfectly okay and doesn't create any kind of an issue, and made me render a question mark above my head as we talked about transforming data if somebody was using Chrome and decided to use the network appliance.
Correct, yes. I would push you to use the network version. That's kind of in the most simple form I can possibly say. If you only have Chromebooks or you only care about Chromebooks, I would highly recommend you use the Chrome solution. It's a less expensive version. It's much easier to set up. You could set it up in 2 minutes. I've seen people set it up in less than 5. But if you have any other devices besides a Chromebook that you care about and you want to track, I just highly recommend you just do the network solution. It captures everything. It's seamless, and you don't have to use both Chrome and network. It's really one or the other.
Okay, again, just to tighten the screw a little bit tighter there, is if I have Chromebooks, I can use the network device and I don't need the plug-in?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, then that makes sense.
Bernie, do you just have Chromebooks or do you have a mixed environment?
I'm going to say that there are many districts that have a mixed environment. All districts that are trending toward Chromebook are fully Chrome. There are many of them that have mixed environments. Ours does, for instance.
Okay. Yeah, Leah, was I correct in saying that? Did I say that in a way that made sense? That network solution use if you have a mixed environment.
Yeah, and I would say the Chrome extension, if you're looking for quick data, just to see it get going, deploying it is as easy as Jena says, and you can watch it happen like a matter of hours. The the network solution and with the capture portal is also obviously not as quick, but still quick enough. And
so the periodic updates, right? Periodic updates back to whatever the source is, not tracking in real time.
Right now, what are we doing it?
It's real time.
It's real, yeah. It is real time. So yeah, you can watch it populate.
Okay. Yeah, there shouldn't be any lag.
I still get confused, Bernie, too, with me because I know when we were doing beta testing, we were turning off and on for me.
Evolution,
so
right.
I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak and say, "Well, it works great for me," and then trying to go, "That was just for you."
I think an important distinction is it is a Chrome plugin. So even if you're running a Windows device and Chrome is your preferred browser, then it's supported, right?
Yes, but you do have to log into the browser.
Yep,
so that is
that's right.
Yeah, so if you are using Chrome browser, if you want to use it, push it to the Chrome browser, it does work.
The critical technical component there is how you're measuring sessions, and sessions is the login session of the user, so the device matters.
Yep,
correct. Yep, and then the roadmap. We're only scaling up on really being able to pinpoint usage. So I would say that if you like this data, a year from now, it's going to be blowing your mind amazing. So that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really amazing things we can do when we start looking at what everyone is doing and being able to understand profiles of school districts and who's most similar and who's near each other and what are those similarities that we need to be looking at and how can we create these benchmarks for these apps so that the goals can be set. That's something we're working towards, and like Leo mentioned, the biggest component to that is just building that trust with our districts, making sure they know they can trust us with this important information, they feel secure, and we can build this partnership to really have the amount of data that we need to start making those recommendations and start having that predictive engine that can really help effectively manage and really move forward the process of how school districts make good decisions about these apps.
Okay, I have one additional question, which is a bit philosophical, I guess, and that is across school districts, is there an intention to aggregate data that's been collected on their behalf in order to present utilization information that might be relative to regional marketplaces and or national marketplaces for the apps that you're monitoring?
Yes, that is a roadmap item. We're looking at it more from an aggregated standpoint. So we would never show you, here's this district's data, but we
right. Regional.
Exactly.
We could say this area as long as we're relevant to our boundaries.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's come up with some of the advisors, one of the advisors for actually the person who helped, who clued me into this, was a gentleman named Carl Hooker, and some of you may know him. He runs something called iPad-a-Palooza outside of Austin, Texas, and he's a big blogger and whatnot. But he was very interested in building kind of a community around the information, right? Being able to share information with other districts to have conversations about best practices and having being able to use this data to drive professional development between our peers, so that even on this call we could say, wow, look at, brain pop is off the charts here, but I'm having a real struggle here. What are you seeing in your data? And being able to bring a community together. And he was very hopeful to see some power in that moving forward.
Absolutely. I think that's probably a great benefit. That is an axillary benefit that comes out of the the potential that's available by servicing multiple school districts, particularly across geographical boundaries, state boundaries, and
Right.
maybe from a national perspective, that would be highly valuable.
I echo what you're saying too, like the regional piece. The state of Rhode Island, it's a small little place, so they're capable of doing more statewide initiatives. They're very interested in seeing this tool to measure, the use of state money.
Right.
And there's some value to that. So we've been working with the Highlander Institute there for a little while, and I'm hopeful to see what would be. I've always been fond of Rhode Island for that perspective. They only have 150,000 students, so you're capable of doing things statewide and providing services statewide, and this is a great tool to kind of help measure that impact.
Right. Same model is deployed in several other states. Delaware's another example. But
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Very good.
Does anyone have any more questions? I'm going to change the screen. Let's see. Stop share. There we go. Okay.
If we're actually getting to the end, could I'll ask one more question, and that is, can you show us how you register an app? You have to turn that back on though.
Oh, hold on. Well, actually, so let me answer that without showing you, because what that looks like right now and what that will look like on Wednesday are very different. And I can't show you what's going to happen Wednesday because I don't even have access to it yet. I'm supposed to have access to it from my CTO by the end of today. I don't even have access to it. You're seeing our stage server, which is our testing ground, but I don't even have access to what's happening on Wednesday yet. But I'm happy to show you offline. The way that works is that we're capturing everything that's used. We show it to you, and you get to say yay or nay. So you get to click it and say, based on how many users you see using it, there's like 500, and you say, wow, this is really picking up speed. You say approve and go forward. And if not, you just leave it in your Discover apps. You might have seen that on the screen, and that's where those will live, is in your Discover apps, in your other apps. We'll always be able to see everything that's going on at the district. You get to tell us what you want to be added.
Okay.
So we capture it all, and then you customize it from there.
Okay.
And for folks on the phone, I went ahead and pasted into the chat my contact information as well as Jena's. So if people are curious to learn more or want to be part of a sneak peek, go ahead and reach out to either one of us or both of us, and let us know if you want to see a little bit more and kind of what your particular focus area is, and we'll get the right people involved.
Yeah, and if you'd like a free trial, please reach out to Jat or myself, and we'll get you going.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we're in a little kind of interesting spot where Jena and CatchOn are kind of preparing for launch. Hopefully, it goes better than some of the SpaceX launches that happened recently. And when they do, there's going to be a particular IlliniCloud code that people can put in to be part of a pilot. So, don't hesitate or don't be shy. Reach out and we'll get you part of that. All right, other questions? So kind of hitting the main things. How do you get involved? Send an email to us. We'll get you a special code. CatchOn will be at FETC, and I believe, Jena, you're planning to be at ICE as well.
Yes.
So folks can kind of connect up, but there's 2 opportunities to connect up there. And
when is ICE, Jat?
ICE is the end of February. So yeah. So if you want to know more information, just go to iceberg.org. And
I like it.
Exactly. No life beneath the surface. Iceberg.org, and it's going to be in Chicago, so people can sign up.
Chicago in February. Oh, I can't wait.
It's always brutal, but we do it on purpose.
That's right. So there's going to be a couple different opportunities, and I think with the launch happening next week, and kind of how we're kind of structuring things. Jen and I have some work to do, but once we get that kind of lined up, but don't wait on us. If you guys are interested, just send us your information, and when we'll work with you to kind of get you that sneak peek and maybe roll you into the pilot, because the more people we have participating, the better. So
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me, and please reach out.
all right, any last questions or comments? All right, if not, Jenna, thank you so much for taking the time to show us the great solution that you've brought to the market, and we're very excited about the launch and look forward to kind of moving forward in both a pilot fashion and a greater go-to-market strategy kind of fashion.
Yeah, me too.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a good day. Bye. Bye.